Hello and welcome to another episode of Nerds with Badges. Today, August 17th, 2026, Monday, and I am now 57 years old as of the 15th of this month, which would have been Saturday. I didn't do anything on my birthday, really. Just stayed home and just chilled. That's what happens, when you're broke. But I ended up having to spend money that I didn't plan on spending. When I got off of work on Thursday morning when I got off of work, well, before I got off of work, actually, I went to my locker. Then I realized I didn't have my keys. I backtracked all over my job, all over, trying to, see where I went. Trying to remember everywhere I went. Could not find my keys. House keys, locker keys, door, keys to get into the apartment building, everything. So I realized that I remember having my keys in my hand when I went to work. When I came into work that night, Wednesday night when I came into work, I remember getting in the car, in the Lyft car, and I had my keys in my hands. And I don't remember what I did with my keys after that. So I was talking with the driver and just probably set the keys down, not even thinking about it. And that's really unlike me. I've lost, I think it's happened maybe 2 times when I think I had lost my phone one time before or something. But I remember leaving my shoes, some shoes that I had bought in the car, and it took I think it was the next day when the driver finally returned it. So this was the same mess. So you don't really talk to a person. You chat. You do this text chatting online. I don't even know if it was a real person. I feel like it might have been AI. I don't know, but I started messaging with customer support on Lyft probably around 6:30 when I really realized I didn't have my keys. They were sending messages to this guy, supposedly. It was so weird because we were having a really good conversation. I talked to the guy about my, some of the social media things that I do and, my projects. And he was, he seemed really cool. And he was like, let me follow you on YouTube. And, when I was getting out of the car, he asked me for my information for my YouTube channel, which I found out later. I don't even know why people go through those kinds of changes, because he did not follow my channel. I don't know why what was going on with this guy, but anyway, it was a nightmare. I couldn't get in my apartment when I got home. My manager, she had a copy of my keys, but they never worked on my apartment for some reason. I don't know, maybe somebody mixed up something. But those keys, when I got locked out before, and it was a mess. So what I would have done, normally I would have just asked my next door neighbors, who normally never leave their apartment, but for some reason they didn't come back Thursday morning. So I'm trying to get in touch with this guy on customer service and Lyft. He's not responding. They say that the drivers don't respond to messages when they're working. I tried texting him because there's supposedly a way where you can contact a person, but let me tell you something. I think it must have been about 2 o'clock. And my manager, she's like, there's a guy I can talk to, he can help you. He can, you can have him come and, rekey your door. And she had mentioned that to me before, and I didn't want to go that route because I really didn't want to spend money that I didn't have, but I had no choice. So I had to use the bathroom. Thank God my neighbor, I have a really cool neighbor. She's like the cat lady. She's got like 10 cats. And I would totally take one of the cats if I had the room, but I don't. Yeah, she's got like a lot of cats. So she let me go and use the bathroom a couple of times in her apartment. It was really kind. I've been in my apartment building since 97. So I've known this lady for a long time. We used to talk, but I work nights. I sleep during the day like a damn vampire. So I don't really see my neighbors that often because during the day I'm usually sleeping. And if I'm moving around, it's probably around 5 or 6 o'clock. If I'm going out running errands or anything, nobody really sees me. I'm like a ghost. Um, so we really hadn't had like a really long conversation for a while. But the whole experience, it made me have to actually interact with people because I really don't like interacting with people if I don't have to. When you become an adult, you realize that I don't want to say all people, but a lot of people just ain't about nothing. I mean, I hate this to say it. I'm not trying to be pessimistic or anything, but it just feels like when people get into my life, when they get involved in my life, the chaos comes. So I had to hire this locksmith. I had to watch him take a saw, some kind of electric saw, and destroyed my doorknobs and my locks. And I think the whole thing took about anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour because he had to run downstairs a few times because the manager needed him to move his car or something. But I was able to get in my house while he continued to, while he had to put the new doorknobs on and new locks and everything. Then he gave me two. He gave me there were 4 keys, 2 for me, which I don't. They're both the same key, and then 2 for the manager. So I guess like she has a spare because before the keys to the top lock and the bottom lock were different. They weren't the same. They didn't use the same key. But I'm glad I didn't have to destroy my locker locks because I really wasn't expecting to get the keys back. I was exhausted by the time I got in my apartment. It must have been about 5:30, 6 o'clock when I finally got inside. I think it was around 5, around 5 o'clock. Because I was just really tired. I took a shower, watched a little bit of TV, and then I went to sleep. I had been talking with my partner. My partner he lives in Africa. So I'd been keeping him, letting him know what was going on, and he was like really concerned. I woke up a couple of times during the night, and I ended up getting up around it's like around 12 o'clock or something. 12. I woke up officially, and there was a message from the driver saying he had my keys. So I ended up having him. I texted him the next day with my address and everything, and he brought the keys to me. So that was good. I did manage to get my locker keys back because I didn't have to. I didn't want to have to go through all that. It was just a really bad experience, man. It really put a bad taste in my mouth as far as like customer service for Lyft and Uber. They need to like have a better way of people getting, they need to overhaul their lost and found system because it was just awful. It was a really bad experience. I couldn't get in my apartment. I had to wait outside, and yeah, that was how I spent my Thursday. But when I got in, I just was too tired. I ended up going to sleep. So Thursday was gone. That was one day wasted. Friday came. I was still kind of out of it, kind of tired. Didn't really do anything. I didn't do anything on my birthday on Saturday. I didn't do anything. I thought about going to the movies. I was going to, but like I said, I had to spend money that I didn't have to get my door rekeyed, and it's just amazing how one little thing. I mean, how if he just picked up the telephone, if the driver had just picked up the telephone and said, "Sergio, I have your keys. I'll bring them to you." You know, I know that they charge you $20 for that. You know, just a simple act, a phone call. I can meet you here. I, would have even gone to meet him somewhere to get my keys back. Nothing. Just completely ignored me. Lied about following my channel on YouTube. I don't know what was up with that. People, just like I said, when people come into my life, a lot of times it's just the chaos. I try to just keep people at a distance. So, I did watch Michael. I think I watched that on. I'm gonna watch that on Friday because I've been curious about that. There was another movie that I watched also called the Yeti, and I think it took place in like the 30s or the 40s. I think it was the 30s. It's like that Indiana Jones time period. It was about a lady who was on an expedition trying to find her father, and they were besieged by this Bigfoot kind of creature, the Yeti, and spoilers. It was all about the baby of this creature. There was a bad guy, excuse me, a bad guy who wanted the baby, and the lady's, the main character of the movie, her father actually had the baby. So it was like she ended up getting in the middle of this, like, this feud with her father and this bad guy. It was an interesting movie. It really reminds me of something I'm currently watching right now, Penny Dreadful, City of Angels. If you're not familiar with Penny Dreadful, it was really great. I loved it. It was kind of a more adult, longer format for League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was just kind of like the Avengers, but scary. I mean, you had Dracula's wife, you had Mr. Hyde, you had the Invisible Man. There was some really cool literary characters in there. Dorian Gray, who's like immortal. That movie allegedly made Sean Connery retire from acting. I don't think he did anything else after that. There was a lot of problems with the production for that movie. But I love it. So Penny Dreadful is a series that ran for 3 seasons, dealt with Dracula, witches, Frankenstein, werewolves, the devil, I guess. I mean, it was a lot of stuff going on in that show. I mean, there was a lot of stuff. They had Dorian Gray, and it really, I feel like it was, when you have a show and you have a movie, you have more time to develop the characters and build on their stories. So Penny Dreadful ran for 3 seasons, and then they made a spin-off, which I don't even know why they named it Penny Dreadful, because it didn't really have anything to do with the City of Angels. Penny Dreadful is about a Mexican family who finds themselves torn between 2 feuding deities, and deities, I guess, goddesses of death and chaos, I guess. So the supernatural element is just really not, it's not quite as prevalent as it was in the Penny Dreadful, the regular series that came before, years before. I mean, it's really like the family dealing with racism, and there was one guy who basically, well, he was a politician, and he was gay. He was trying to hide it, but he was working with the Nazis because they were trying to take over. They were trying to take over California, Los Angeles. There was like a lot of different stories going on. And there was a cop who was, he was Mexican, and he had to deal with racism. And his mother had this really interesting dynamic, this relationship with the two deities, the two goddesses. Like, she could see them and talk to them, and they just kind of had this like respect for each other, but they didn't, not necessarily. I mean, you have to watch it. I think it's on HBO or Showtime. That's where it came. I ended up buying a Blu-ray, and because I'm trying to build up a physical collection of movies. But all the characters have really good story arcs, and I think I love period pieces. You get a chance to see all the interesting costumes, the clothing that people wore, the cars that they drove, and how the houses looked and everything. But it's got elements of horror in it, not as much as the regular Penny Dreadful series, because like I said, that was straight up Dracula, witches, werewolves, and so I wanted to go see the Odyssey. I'm gonna go see it this week. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna go see it this week. I was really good. I wanted to buy Marvel Tokon, but like I said, I'm pretty much broke, so I decided I'm gonna just, my backlog as far as video games go is just, it's just ridiculous. So I had pre-ordered some games and I canceled. The only thing I didn't cancel was the Castlevania game that's about to come out later this year. It's like a 2D side scroller, like in the old style of the Castlevanias that Konami made back on the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis. It looks interesting. You play as a lady character. And I've been saving some money for the Godzilla game that's coming out. I had pre-ordered the Gears of War game, but I canceled that. I canceled the Dawn Walker game about the vampire. I canceled the Onimusha game on pre-order. I will try to get those games later when they're on sale on disc. If there is a disc, anyway. It's a lot. It's a lot of talk right now about PlayStation and their decision to end physical discs. Well, they're not going to be making any more after January 2028. So there's been like a movement of people, a lot of. I mean, I like being able to buy discs and cartridges. But it looks like Nintendo's going to be like the last man standing as far as physical media goes with gaming. PC gaming has long abandoned physical discs. I don't even know if they make physical discs for PC games anymore. I mean, I don't even... Every time I look for laptops online, trying to find a laptop that has a CD drive or a DVD drive it's not an easy thing. And they tend to be more expensive. I have a very old HP laptop. Thing is huge. I think it's, I feel like it's like 17 inches, maybe bigger than that. I need to get it repaired too because one of the hinges is broken. But it has a DVD drive. But I like the idea of like being able to buy a game for somebody if I want to. Like my partner that lives in Africa, for example. If I want to send him a game digitally, it's kind of difficult because I've been trying to help him get a Nintendo online membership, and that's been difficult to do for his Switch Lite. And I don't think Nintendo allows you to gift games to people. I know that Xbox does. I think Steam might. I'm not sure, but sometimes there's like what do you call it? Damn it. Like if you try to like send something to another country, it might like sometimes I will try to share a movie with him because like we were talking about Zorro earlier today, and I sent him a link to watch the movie because they have the movie on YouTube for free. He clicked on the link and it would not let him watch the movie. So it's I guess it's a region thing. That's what I was trying to say. So sometimes there's issues with the region. I'm pretty sure if I send him a PlayStation disc, it would work on the PlayStation over there. I don't think they have, but like digital stuff is just harder. So like when I got him a Switch Lite, I was able to send him some games, some physical games. So and plus when you have something physical, you actually own it. And if the servers go down, which the servers did go down a few weeks ago, it happened with PlayStation and it happened with Xbox. And the crazy thing with the Xbox is you couldn't even some disc games wouldn't work. I heard. I think I might have got the tail end of the PlayStation. I think at some point in the evening I might have been trying to like do something on, and I might have thought that my modem was acting out because I'm supposed to have 4 bars on my modem. Lately it's been like 3, 2 bars, and today it was 4. Like I looked up and I noticed it was 4. So I don't know what the hell AT&T is doing, or maybe something's going on. But there's definitely downsides to digital distribution of media. I mean, it's convenient, yeah, but you don't really own it if you really take the time to read those little, those long uh, terms of agreement, before you can play a lot of games now, and most people don't. I've taken the time to look over the wording of these things, man, the legal jargon, and just telling you can't take legal action, and you don't have ownership, and then they can take the game away at any moment. And I gotta tell you, man, younger generation, y'all don't know how lucky y'all are. I mean, I don't say I meant to say unlucky in that I think a lot of people are used to digital everything, and so I think that's why there's not as much pushback as there should be with some of the things that some of these companies have been doing. I mean, like, you can't take the battery out of your phone and fix, and replace it if you need to. I mean, most people aren't going to do that. Most people don't have the skill, the patience, and repairing a lot of stuff now. I mean, there are new laws that are being passed in other countries because people are starting to like, these companies do these things, and they kind of trap you. Even going so far as to throttle the performance of your devices to make you think that, oh, the app's not working, I need to buy a new one. Just, they say when you give an inch, sometimes people take a mile. But I think the companies have just been trying little things, doing little things, getting rid of the headphone jack, forcing you to have to buy an adapter to use your wire headphones. I mean, I could go on and on. So I think politicians are starting to get involved in all this stuff now because as far as video games go, there's really not a lot of protection for consumers, and so these companies are able to pretty much do whatever the hell they want. But now that there's a lot of pushback with what's going on with the PlayStation, a lot of people, people in my age group especially, we like being able to sell our games if we want, trade them in, and the companies, they don't get money, so they want to cut that out. They don't want to have to pay for shipping, and they have to give a percentage, I guess, of sales to the retailers. But they're not going to give us any savings. It's like the tariffs are not, we're not going to get money back for they should give everybody in a perfect world, but um, apparently the government is being sued by some companies too because of the tariffs, because people want their money back. That's a whole nother story. Oh, excuse me. So I am about to start production on a new project. Now, I'm not going to say too much about it, but it involves soccer and anime. That's all I'm going to say. Well, it is going to be an anime involving soccer. That's all I'll say for now. I also have a comic book that will definitely be out before the year is out. I just have a few more pages I got to get done, and then I got to start saving up, because next year I want to take a trip to Africa to spend some time with my partner and just get a feel for for that part of the world. And I've been thinking about moving out of the United States for a long time, and American dollars go really far in some countries. So as a job market goes, I mean, that's something I got to think about. I really don't want to do. I'm just like over 9 to 5s. So I gotta like sit down and like really work on a plan, because like I have a lot of things that I want to do next year. Got a lot of things I got to do. Things that I want to do, but the things I need to do too. It's just a lot, and I want to do bigger and better things for social media. I got to get my podcast up on different platforms like Spotify, and start being more consistent with all this stuff, and bring in more people and do more projects, because I've talked to my co-host Taz. He's done a few episodes of Nerds with Badges with me, but I want to I want to do more episodes with him. He lives in Long Beach, and I'm here in Los Angeles, Koreatown. So it's a distance, but we can do episodes together online and not have to be in the same space. Now we have technology, we can do Zoom, or we can use a different. I got to learn more about all this stuff, man. I should be better with all this technology. I really should, and I got to get on top of it. Otherwise, I have to hire somebody else to do some of these things. And I want to get into video game production as well. That's a whole new adventure for me, because video game production can be tricky. I know it's expensive, but a lot of people don't like AI. I understand that, but it can help make it easier for like a small company to do things where before you would have to hire a lot of people. And some people, man, I tell you, when you're trying to do something, you might even have cases where people just realize that what the scope of what they were trying to do was just like they couldn't afford it, and they had to put their projects on hold and save up money so they could hire people. Or some people probably just give up because just trying to get people to work with you sometimes it's not the easiest thing in the world. But AI gives you tools to do things, and I think it's you see these big companies laying off people, which just sucks. People losing their jobs because they just want to save money. I still don't understand how we get to a point where video games are costing $300 million and taking 8 years to produce. But anyway, that is gonna be it for today's episode of Nerds with Badges. I gotta get ready to start my shift. It is 10 minutes till, so I gotta go and see what my assignment is going to be for tonight. What my patrol is gonna be, because we get they tell us, they give us like a paper with the route that we have to patrol, where we have to go for the rest of the night. So I'm gonna have my energy drink probably in an hour or so, and just try to get through the next few days, and look forward to being more productive the next few days, because I gotta sit down and like do like some planning for some of these ideas that I have, and then I gotta go see this movie on Friday, Odyssey, before it goes out the theater. I can't believe how fast some of these movies come on home video nowadays. Anyway, that's it for Nerds with Badges. Take care, and I will be back sometime later this week with the review of the Odyssey, and maybe some other stuff too, because I've been playing some games too that I want to talk about. And that's it for now. Peace out.